Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to round 7 of the Grid Championship, brought to you by Mettlestate, RaceFace, and fueled by MTN. My name is Steven, the world's fastest backmarker Koenig. Joining me in the box, like always, is Janneman, the world's slowest alien. Janneman Press, welcome to Bathurst. Welcome to a land down under.
Now, good evening, Steven. Yes, we're going racing down under, around the mountain, and this always promises to be a very interesting, very close fought battle, and maybe one or two, incidents where the guide rails might come into play.
That's it. For anyone that doesn't know the mountain, we're going to start off with turn 1. That is Hell's Corner, and the guys are going to be going through a very, very tight left-hander. Be careful of that. At the start of the race, it becomes a massive Concertina effect. Drivers running into a bit of issues. Down the straight until you make through the right-hander, the Quarry Bend, where we see last night Winton took pretty much races and ended it with two cars having a collision, which then backed the entire field up. So keep an eye on turn 2. And then they make their way up the hill, snaking their way up the mountain until they get to McPhillamy Park, where it's just a fast left-hander. You got to keep on the power as much as possible. Then you start making your way down the skyline into the dipper. The dipper being a little bit of a tight left-hander where you've just got to try and jerk the car into the corner. Make sure that you don't go too fast, otherwise you're going to smack the wall at a almighty speed. So you got to be very cautious of that. Straight down all the way to the Forest Elbow, where unfortunately, if you ever drove a Bentley and it says Bentley written all there, I say it has a magnet attached to it. Once you make your way through the Forest Elbow, that little bit of a tight left-hander down what they call the Hanger Straight, but it's more commonly known as Conrod Straight, where we've seen more than a few engines blow to pieces over the years, and then into the chase. A quick left-right, and get yourself back and going until the final left-hander. And Janneman, do you know there's something special while we head down to see a bit of qualifying about Bathurst this weekend?
Let me guess, might that be that there's an actual Bathurst 1000?
There is an actual Bathurst 1000, and it's the 60th running of the Bathurst 1000. 60 years that legendary race has been going on. So as a tribute, as a thank you, and as an absolute, let's go get excited, our drivers are going to be taking on Bathurst, fighting their way through the mountain for round 7 of the Grid Championship. Gotta say, quite excited here, and let's go through while our drivers are making their way through through the circuit at the moment for qualifying. Let's take a look at the championship points as it stands. Tariq Adam, 281 points. Daniel Demetrius Petro, 210. Ryan Ottens, 174 points. He's in 3rd place. Henry Mayer, 152. Christian Deploy, very closely behind on 151 points. Then we got Johan van der Merwe, 128 points in 6th place. Q&A Duplessis on 124 in 7th. SES Days, 1 point behind him on 123 points. Then Daniel Rowe in 9th place, 121 points. And 10th place, Christopher Radloff on 107. Nicholas Manuel tailing with 105 points. Ronaldo Boersma, 104, tying himself up with Justin Lotus, also on 104 in 13th position. And I can go down through the list, but everyone is super close. This is for the end of the championship. It's still rather wide open for everyone out there, but at the moment, taking a look at the qualifying, some impressive times being put in. First place putting in a 2-minute 0.7. That's Bago Krobler. Daniel Roller in 2nd place. Johan Kleinans in 3rd with a big smile on his face. Johan van der Merwe is out in 4th place. And just to let you know, Janneman, I don't think you knew about this. Johan van der Merwe is an actual pilot. He actually flies. So next time you're taking your drone, you got to get on the comms and say, Mr. van der Merwe, yes, it's me. How you doing?
I don't think he wants to go flying tonight, though. Best to stick to the tarmac. But there is a name here that we haven't seen for a while. That will be Kieran Patterson. Yes. Welcome back, Kieran.
Kieran Patterson making his return last night and scoring a 3rd place. So going to be keeping an eye out on him. 5th place, Morgan McCall, Q&A Duplessis, Christopher Radloff, Justin Lotus, Mahayath Musa, Keegan Saunderson, Enric Sickers, Vincent Nell, is a little bit further down. Alan Patterson up into 14th place. SES is in 15th. Clary Duplessis, Sunjin Pillay, Jude Neville, Daniel de Villiers, Jean Fafiers, Werner Skuman, Grant Sebastian, Andre Serradio, Paul, the Pinky Toe Fenter, Eric Kirstein, Jamie Rees, AJ de Kock, Ryan Ottens, Ramon Ionka, and Johannes Kraling rounding out our field at the moment. 30 cars are going and making their way around the circuit. Really gotta say, looking forward to seeing how this is all going to go, Jan. It's going to be a close race amongst everyone, and especially here through the mountain. Now, for anyone that didn't join us for the RaceFace GT3 Sprint Series, Turn 2 landed up with 2 cars getting caught out, and that was Ryan Ottens and Cameron de Bastos that had it coming together, and landed up with Alan Pazin and Sunjin Pillay going into T-boning the guys, unfortunately, through the blind corner. So they're going to have to keep a very close eye on that matter whatsoever. And I do want to point out that SES is a major, but he's not a pilot. He works for, he's in the Air Force, but is not a pilot, but is a major. I've been corrected on that one.
So, what do you mean? He's majorly not a pilot, or
Majorly wants to be a pilot, but
majorly
just not
wants
yet.
to be a pilot? Okay, not yet.
Keep an eye on Morgan McCall, though. Morgan McCall taking first place for the 55-minute race, and that is going to be one to keep an eye out for. So Morgan is going to be on the hot charge to try and carry through the momentum. He's currently in 6th place. Lap time to beat, though, a 2-minute .7. Daniel Rowe with a 2-minute .8. Jan Kleinans a 2:01.1. Jan van der Merwe 2:01.2. Christopher Radloff 2:01.302. Got to get that one right because Morgan McCall was a 2:01.325. So drivers are currently pushing themselves that little bit more every step of the way. And I've got to say, I'm really, really looking forward to seeing what the drivers are going to be able to do for the Grid Championship. Round 7 brought to you by RaceFace, Mettlestate, and fueled by MTN.
Absolutely. Stephen, I'm just going through the timetables here. Interesting to see. So, Bega Grobler out in front. He's in first place. He's got the fastest first and second sector. Daniel Rowe is slower in the first and second sector, but a lot faster than Bega Grobler in the third sector. And coming to only 0.1 of a second at the end of the lap between the two of them. So at this stage, there's a little bit of a mix of sectors going on in how the laps are compiled, and maybe that is something we will see throughout the evening. I mean, have a look at that. 3 McLarens in the top 5. A car that had a bit of a love-hate relationship early on in the season. Now in the latter parts of the season, especially around a track like Bathurst, does seem that they might not be a bad choice to go for.
Can I point out that the McLaren's history in Assetto Corsa Competizione, from its beta years, when it was still in beta, was the most unfavored car and unsupported car in Assetto Corsa Competizione's history till now. This year, since the new McLaren came out, including like the new Mercedes, that went and changed the entire meta. Ferrari also coming in as one of the stronger dominant cars only now, because previously it wasn't a car to go for. So drivers were picking Aston Martins, Bentleys, Lamborghini. They were going into the BMW M6s, some of them that decided to do it and discovered that it didn't have quite good brakes. That all changed when we saw the likes of the BMW M4 GT3 come into play. Lots of drivers jumped into that. So we've got a couple of cars that were originally unfavored getting in to have a bit of fun and really pushing it.
Other side as well. I mean, we've got cars that used to be very popular, like the Bentley, Aston Martin, and who'll remember the Lexus back in the day that have all but disappeared.
The Lexus, yeah. That used to be one of the strongest vehicles that you could get out on the circuit. No one actually driving the Lexus throughout all our Pro, Pro-Am, and Gold. No one choosing the Lexus, saying that unfortunately it's just not competitive anymore. But bear in mind, the Lexus that we do have is an early 2016 model compared to the more current 2020, 2019, and also our 2022 cars that are currently out on circuit. So the Lexus, unfortunately, being a GT3 that was retired, one GT3 I would love to actually see out on circuit while we see a Lamborghini, would be the Ford GT3. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm going to go that far back.
Don't know if a lot of drivers will pick it, though.
Honestly, I've raced against it, and that thing's got legs. That's, there's no replacement for displacement, but you can still catch it in a corner. Bago Krobler leading out the charge. Daniel Rowe trying to close down on it. Yellow flags being waved as they come up through the hill. The dreaded yellow flags. The last thing you want to see as you make your way up the hill, because it can be a matter of going around a blind corner and getting caught out. A lot of the drivers coming off the throttle, allowing everyone to go. And you can see how Morgan McCall going and pushing the limits, how close the drivers actually have to get to the walls as they maneuver their way around. Cameron DeBastos in 4th place. Keep an eye on him. He's also been on a proper pace. Last night was a bit gutting, but I still want to take my hat off. He finished. Same like Unrik Sikkers. And I do want to point out, Unrik Sikkers in 19th place is so far the only GT3 car this season that has ever barrel rolled. Yes, you heard me right. He hit the wall so hard, he barrel rolled down through the... down all the way down the hill into the forest elbow. He was barrel rolling. So, and managed to get the car back out and going. Let's keep an eye on him. Bago Krobler currently fastest in the last sector. He's trying to move and do everything he can. And did you know, I found this one out. Did you know that Tim the cameraman, some say he's part kangaroo, others say he's part flying spider?
Okay, well, wait, what?
Yes.
So we've got a half kangaroo, half flying spider. I suppose that's how he's such a natural in the helicam.
Exactamundo. And why you can take all the bumps that get thrown at him. So, Bago Krobler comes across the line. Last lap time wasn't his quickest. Morgan McCall in 2nd place. Daniel Roy in 3rd. Cameron DeBastos trying to improve his last lap time. He's 0.1 up. Christopher Adloff 0.2 up on his last lap time. Keegan Saunderson up 3 on his last lap time. Unrik Sikkers up 2 on his last lap time. Daniel De Villiers up 3 on his last lap time. So, a couple of cars pushing as hard as they can to make their way up and down through the hill. And let's see who will be able to close down the distance at this point.
This is going to be an interesting one. And, Stephen, you know, we're all too familiar that there is the possibility around Bathurst that come lap 1, there might be a parking lot. I mean, I've come to a dead stop once or twice around Bathurst in a race on lap 1.
Now, unfortunately, that concertina effect around Bathurst being one of the very tight circuits, not many places to move around, and you're going to have to figure out how you can get that little bit more of a jump on the competition. Christopher Radloff, 0.3 up on his lap time, does move himself into 5th place as all our drivers come across the line for the start of the race. So let's head to a break before we get to the race. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. What a field. 30 cars around Bathurst, and this is going to be a proper little run. So, let's take a look, shall we, through the field, as we have got all the drivers lined up, ready to go. Bago Krobler out in 1st place, Morgan McCall in 2nd, Cameron DeBastos in 3rd, Daniel Rowe in 4th, Christopher Radloff, Vincent Nell, Johan Kleinans in 7th, Johan van der Merwe, Kevin Duplessis, Johannes Kreiling, Keegan Saunderson, Mahath Musa, S.E.S. Days, Kerry Duplessis, along with Jamie Rees, Daniel De Villiers, Justin Lotus in 17th, 18th, Unrik Sikkers, Sanjan Pillay, AJ de Kock, Alan Patterson, Eric Kirstein, Andre Serradio, Jean Fafiers, Jude Neville, Grant Sebastian, Werner Skuman, Paul Fenter, Ryan Ottens, and Ramon Ionka rounding out the field here this evening. Gentlemen, we're in for a great race. I think we're in for a proper run where the drivers are going to have to figure out what are they going to do at this point.
Yeah, absolutely, especially with Bago and Morgan McCall on the front row. You know, good to see Bago back out in front. You know, it's for me as if he's been struggling a little bit with the Lamborghini, you know, during the last couple of races, having a couple of difficult races, and good to see him out in front, pole position. But that black, red, and green Lamborghini next to him, I think if Morgan McCall's got anything to do with it, he would like to get out in front, not maybe turn 1, but tuck into the slipstream come turn 2.
So I know a couple of people are asking what the bars are on the side of the screen next to the brands. That is what they call ping. That gets shown. So as our drivers make their way through, they will be getting ready to rock and roll for their start of their race. And gentlemen, Bago Krobler, Morgan McCall out in first and second, going to be leading up the charge. It's all game on now for round 7 of the Grid Championship, getting onto the power, and away they go, all blasting off and doing everything they can to make a little bit more of a move. Bago Krobler leading out the charge. He's trying to get a little bit more of a run compared to the rest of the field. And let's see if he'll be able to close down the distances between them. Morgan McCall, see Daniel Rowe also having a bit of fun out there. Cameron de Bastos going and chasing him down as they make their way around the mountain. Morgan McCall looking up on the inside, looks the outside, tries to go around the outside. Not able to make it stick just as yet.
Oh, in the background, de Bastos got a bit of the wall there. That slowed him down and threw him down the field. And that allowed Daniel Rowe to get past. So that's going to hurt his drive a little bit as they go into the mountain. First time into the mountain, Stephen, always an interesting thing. Cars really bunched up. No side-by-side action that you can see at this moment, still tucking into single file. The safe route is to follow each other through there, live to fight another day, and come down the mountain, come the hanger, or as we like to call it, the Conrod Straight.
That's fun. Gather it. He recovers, and Cameron also trying to avoid him at that point, having to climb on the anchors. Oh, there was contact. Cameron de Bastos down the hill had contact. That looks like he went into Daniel de Villiers and Johannes Kraling. And you can see everyone, concertina effect. This is what we are worried about. That may change the race as the drivers trying to maneuver their way through. So a little bit of contact there, landing up with a whole bunch of chaos. And let's see if we can actually go back a little bit and see what exactly happened. And what was the charge to that. So Cameron de Bastos, car number 20, he's car 147. Let's see if I can try and pick him up on my system for that a little bit early, that earlier contact, or when everyone was getting bunched up. This is SESAs. He was also part of the carnage, having to slow down, make their way through, and you can see everyone still hitting the brakes. White flag being showed for slow vehicle as they make their way down through the hill, and there's the concertina effect. Everyone getting a bit of paint shared between all the teams.
Yeah, as I said, Stephen, it's always a difficult one, and Bathurst can very easily turn into a parking lot on lap 1. Slightest bit of contact, there's no runoff area there. So, you know, you can get spit out back into traffic when you touch that wall, and that's when the carnage normally happens. But out in front, Morgan McCall setting his sights on Bago Grobler, not letting him get away as they go into the mountain on lap 2. Morgan's going to try and close that gap throughout this section, but watch out, not too far behind is Daniel Rogue, followed by Christopher Ratloff and Vincent Nell. Johan Kleinans.
Vincent Nell getting all types of sideways and sliding the Lamborghini. You could see getting deadly close to the wall and having to pull it back and really fighting the reins. There's the impact that I was waiting for, unfortunately. And here comes Kleinans, seeing a very, very wounded Vincent Nell, and a couple of the guys getting sorted out. I see Johannes Kreiling saying he's got about 2 minutes and 21 damage. He's in the pits. His team is going and informing him, and he's watching the live stream as he sees the guys going. So Johannes Kreiling going and facing a little bit of a problem, but will be getting back out onto the track and go racing once again. So he's just giving us a bit of an insight. It's nice to actually have a chat to the drivers and see what they think while they're in the pits, get a bit of an understanding of what's happening. And Johannes Kreiling actually saying 1 minute 20, so he's on the countdown while watching the racing at hand. The pit crew have got the phone in the cockpit saying, look, Reed, this is going to happen. We have to get back out there and get back on the charge. So it's going to be a proper amount of fun. Drivers are going to have to do 2 mandatory pit stops and get fighting in with 2 mandatory pit stops. So that does count as one of their pit stops. Does come in handy though. You did lose a time for repair, but knowing that the rest of the field will have to go and land up getting themselves sorted out as well, doing their mandatory pit stops, does give you a bit of a sigh of relief that it's not over yet. And yeah, as Kreiling points out, that he's not over yet. So keep an eye on this Lamborghini right here, as he's not going to throw in the towel. He's deciding he's going to put the fight in until his very last breath for the Grid Championship round 7. I love to see it. Absolutely love to see it.
Absolutely. And maybe while we've got him on the line, maybe you can answer a quick question. Johan, how will this change your strategy for this race? Let's see if we get an answer on that one. Maybe he's still in the pits, you know, doing a little bit of texting.
Well, even to the other, you know, to the pit bosses, I know there's quite a few of them that are out there. See, that will be keeping an eye. Jody Simpson going and putting in a bit of support out in the grandstands. Gabriel Dos Santos also putting in a bit of a cheer. Robert Wentworth, and also Horsebox Streams. Why heavens, good to have you back going and supporting Paul Fenter as they look to get a little bit more of a drive. Down the Forest Elbow and now up and going. This is going to be a proper little battle. Daniel Rowe right onto the back of Jude Neville, who is actually one of the back markers, trying to utilize the toe down the Conrad Straight to try and pull away from fellow teammate Christopher Radloff, who does exactly the same, puts himself on the outside through the kink. He's able to bring it back, but just slightly off race line. That's going to compromise some drive.
Yeah, I see that Merc sliding as he goes through there, losing a bit of drive, and that allows Neville to just close back onto him. Remember, Jude is one of the back markers, so behind him, Jan Kleinans, he's trying to make his way past him to get onto the rear end of that Merc yet again. But the Merc of Neville, not a slouch in a straight line. Kleinans looking on the inside. Oh, and running wide.
Himself. Oh, just
if the tree was still there.
Trying to get by, but keep an eye out. Bego Krobler, so he is battling it out with Morgan McCall as they get back onto the charge. Morgan doing everything he can. Bego Krobler out in front. 0.3 of a second between them. And we just saw Jan van der Merwe getting the fastest lap at 2:01.2 for the race. So he's on a proper charge, not only to get closer to the field, but he wants to go and battle it out as they make their way through. So Morgan McCall, Bego Krobler going and taking the fight to one another up and down through the mountains. So this is going to go and start hurting their tires. They can change tires. They've got unlimited sets of tires, but 2 mandatory pit stops to make it all work. So let's see what the driver's going to do. A little bit further back though, Kerry Duplessis versus Vincent Nell. Vincent Nell managing to get a little bit more of a run. We saw him catch the wall a little bit earlier, and now trying to make a little bit of a recovery drive. Paul Fenter and Eric Hussein, they're battling it out for 15th and 16th position. These two have run into each other every single race. And as Paul Fenter says, he has got a little tattoo of all the bumpers and all the symbols going and pressed up against him. So he's now trying to not have another Ferrari badge stamped into the skin as he chases down Eric Hussein, but is going to be mounting the pressure on. A little bit further up the road from them is Sanjan Pillay, right behind Daniel the Hitman de Villiers. They're battling it out to be in the top 10 at the moment. So 10th and 11th, Sanjan Pillay and Daniel de Villiers going and fighting it out tooth and nail.
And, you know, I think Daniel will also hopefully look at having a better results than what he's had in the past races. But at this stage, he's got a mirror full of Sanjin Pillay as they come to the last corner. Sanjin not close enough, I think, to have a look, but he's going to try and tuck in under the rear wing of the Lamborghini. Looks like he's got a very good drive. Daniel struggling a little bit of traction, so Sanjin looking on the inside, deciding against it because now comes that long straight up to turn 2, and I think turn 2 is the turn that you would like to make the pass rather than turn 1.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. Trying to keep into the toe. Let's see who's got less aerodynamics, less pressure on the rear wing that's creating drag. And it looks like both drivers are absolutely matched in that. Up the hill they go, battling it out. Daniel de Villiers and Sanjin Pillay are not going to back down from this fight between the two of them. Good to see it out there. Sanjin does look on the inside. Not able to get it, utilizing a little bit of the wall as he tries to power his way through. Side by side as they climb. Daniel going and making sure that Sanjin can't get by, and they're going to have to play follow leader even further. Out in first place, so Morgan McCall, Bago Krobler coming down the mountain. And down the mountain, here she comes as they hard on the brakes through the forest elbow and get back onto the throttle as they power their way through. Bago Krobler just managing to keep the fight with Morgan McCall, but Morgan McCall with a bit of renewed fight underneath him as he goes and chases down that first place. Looks to go side by side, utilizing the slipstream. Can he slingshot past? Now into the kink, he's able to do it. Cuts off a little bit. Under braking, and Bago's going to have to keep the pressure on now. Dropping a little bit behind, but will have the slipstream as they make their way through. So this is a very interesting little battle starting to form. I do want to point out, Verveers is the first to, he did a pit stop, and that was actually for repair work by the looks of it. He was stopped in the box for 51.6 seconds. Oh no, Daniel de Villiers, I just saw the yellow flags. And let's actually take a look at what happened to Daniel de Villiers.
Wasn't me.
Nope, wasn't us, not this time. Down the Conrad straight. I think it's going to be under braking.
Yeah, I think he outbraked himself. Let's have a look.
Under braking. That looks fine. Oh, the tail just stepping out. Yeah. We have seen that so much this season with the Lamborghini that it just has this little snap underneath it, and you're pretty much a passenger. You get into this deathly slow slide. You listen to the traction control forever kicking in and pulling you along. Ryan Odson's dealing with AJ DeCock right behind him. Alan Patterson putting up the chase, and he's got Essie Esterhaus also closing and really battling it out. This is going to be a proper little fight between it because this is a 4-car train lying in 22nd position. A little bit of an interesting position. We don't get to see some of the drivers in, but every single one of them have done their first pit stop. Let that be known. And Harry Duplessis is actually one of the guys that has completed all his pit stops, so he's going to be getting out there and having a great run. Jamie Rees, though, yellow flags, and ouchie daisies. Something tells me he caught the wall on the way through. So let's actually go and take a look. Let's go in the helmet cam and get a perceptive look. Making his way through, feathering the throttle, properly pushing as hard as he can. A little bit of a lift, battling his way around, down the hill. Oh no, over the bump. There's a slight crest, and you could see getting a little bit airborne as well. Managing to bring it back to planet Earth, but unfortunately that is going to impact his drive as well. So one thing we do want to bring up there is as you come over the crest, you actually get a little bit of air coming underneath the car. The diffusers tend to stop working because you've got so much lift, and especially if you've got the suspension super duper tight, you're going to get that lift, you're going to have no give, and it becomes extremely twitchy under braking. So it's something that all the drivers are going to have to be well aware of, and so far we've seen a couple of casualties at the top.
Yeah, Stephen, luckily for him, the car faced the right way after his accident was finished. So we have a look at Alan Patterson making his way around there. So that helped him out a little bit. I'm talking about the Ferrari. But if he was stuck facing the wrong way, that could have been a very long, agonizing accident for him.
Yeah, no, that is definitely it. SES House, the major in the Air Force, now chasing down Alan Patterson. the head of PWSR, who's welcomed back his son all the way from England, now putting on a fantastic show. And remember, Alan didn't have too much of an easy run last night, so he's looking to try and improve it for the Grid Championship this evening. And I've got to say, absolutely incredible stuff for the Grid Championship, brought to you by Mettlestate, RaceFace, and fueled by MTN. But we're starting to get into this part of the race where everything starts to slow down. Drivers are trying to figure out what can they do. Teams are starting to do the calculations necessary. What are they going to do? How are they going to get back on the circuit? And I just saw Harry Duplessis saying, going to get back just for me. I feel the love. I feel the love. I went on my rant last night, and it seems like it's passed through. Mad respect, because we've still got 30 cars sticking it out, no matter what, no matter the damage. And honestly, I am proud of every single driver that goes and pulls it back from the brink.
Yeah, I mean, doing everything and anything you can just to see that checkered flag at the end and bringing it home, no matter what happens in the race, just seeing the end of the race. So another comment of Quinton Ivy. Ryan is so fast. Ryan Ottens fighting his way from the back of the grid, and he's completed one pit stop, and at this stage in 20th position. So that's a bit of a comeback drive for Ryan Ottens after starting from the back.
Morgan McCall put in the fastest lap time, and now taking the fight to Bago Krobler. Once again, these two have been nose to tail with one another. Daniel Rowe, seeing his teammate is under threat from Morgan McCall, trying to make up a bit of ground. And I'll just take a look at the lap time. Morgan McCall's last lap time was a 2-minute 01.072. Bago Krobler a 2-minute 01.520. So just not able to bring it back as much as he would like. So this is going to be a proper little fight. And I know there's a couple of people that are wondering who's the voice that we managed to find. We sent a search party out for him. It's Janneman Grace. Also from the Bundus, he has returned. We had to send out a search party for him. His GPS went and said that he was recalculating for the next 4 hours.
Well, it wasn't really the Bundus, but I was on a 700 odd kilometer work trip the past couple of days, past 2 days. So I'm back. haven't really left, but was just missing last night.
Just and Tuesday.
Tuesday I was
racing.
Yeah,
you were out on the track. Let's take a look though at who's gained and who's lost. Bago Krobler and Morgan McCall are currently back where they started, first and second respectively. Daniel Rowe in third place, up one position. Christopher Radloff up one position. Johan Kleinans up two. Johan van der Merwe up two. Keegan Duplessis is up two. Keegan Saunderson up 3 positions. Sanjan Pillay up 10 positions. He started in 19th. Werner Skuman up 17 positions. He started in 27th. Andre Serradio up 12th. He started in 23rd. Daniel de Villiers up 4 positions. Paul Venter up 15 positions. Grant Sebastian up 12 positions. Eric Kirstein up 7 positions. Ramon Ionka up 14 positions. He started in 30th. He's now into 16th. Mahayath Musa down 5 positions. Ryan Ottens is up 11 positions as it stands. Justin Lotus down 2 positions. Alan Patterson up 1 position. SESA's down 8 positions. AJ de Kock down 2. Henrik Sikkers down 5. Vincent Nell down 18. Cameron de Bastos down 22 positions. Fafiers down 2. Jamie Reese down 12. Jude Neville down 3. Harry Duplessis down 15 positions but not giving up. And Johannes Kraling down 20 positions but is not going to throw in the towel. And that is our 30-car field as it stands. The drivers all pushing themselves that little bit more. Oh, a little bit of a twitch down the hill from Morgan McCall, pushing harder and harder. And it looks like the front wheels starting to give under braking.
Yeah, remember, sometimes that Lamborghini tends to suffer from a bit of understeer. If you don't set it up, I won't say perfectly, but if you don't set it up just right, sounds almost the same as perfectly. But anyway, it does tend to suffer from understeer, and I know that's something I got in the Lambo throughout the races that I've done with it. That the front end, Morgan looking up on the inside, deciding just to show Bago that he is there. You know, don't forget about me. but I think he was too far back to do a move anyway. But trying to get back under the rear wing of Bega Grobler as they make their way around to complete another lap. Stephen, they have pulled quite a little bit of a gap over the rest of the field. So these two, having pulled a gap over Daniel Rowe and further back, Jan Kleinans, Daniel Rowe in a little bit of no man's land.
But has got Christopher Radloff closing down and Johan van der Merwe. So as you did mention, they are starting to take the battle. Another little close battle. Daniel de Villiers and Paul Venter are taking the fight. And don't count out Grant Sebastian, who is getting himself back out and going. He had load shedding last night and a little bit today, so he wasn't able to get as much practice as he wanted, but now putting up a monstrous fight against a Lamborghini, a Ferrari, and a Mercedes. It sounds like a start of a bad joke.
Well, the Lamborghini, Ferrari, Mercedes walks into a bar.
Yes. No, this
might be a bit of an Aussie joke, though.
It might be an Aussie joke.
But it's missing a Holden.
Missing a Holden, I agree. A Ford, a Holden, all to do battle, and the drivers pushing themselves that little bit more. Paul Venter doing everything he can. Looks up on the inside of Daniel de Villiers, not close enough to make the impact just yet. Grant Sebastian keeping very, very close by and battle their way through. I see there is a bit of contact, a bit of chaos going on between AC Estes and Alan Patson. They're going to go side by side. Let's see if we can go 30 seconds back and see what exactly transpired between the two of them. I think there might have been a little bit of paint rub shared between the two, making their way into Hell's Corner, which is turn 1. Essie looks up on the inside, cut back between the two. Alan going, running out of road, comes back. Essie also running out of road and swings to the way on the inside. And the two of them then decided to rekindle the action and try for round 2 in this little battle.
Does it look like Essie let him back pass? So maybe Essie felt that the pass was not done in the best of fashion and allowing Alan to pass and do a round 2.
Werner Skuman going after Sanjan Pillay. Going to look through the kink. Who's going to be brave enough? My heavens, under braking. Werner Skuman goes out wide, drops the wheel on the dirt. That's him off. Here comes Sanjan Pillay as they rejoin. Werner Skuman is going to have to back off. But he doesn't want to have a position gained under those causes. Paul Venter getting the run with Grant Sebastian right behind him. They also taking the fight. But now the question comes in, Janneman. They starting to run short of time. We've just gone over the hour mark. The drivers now needing to start thinking what's going to be the pit stops going to look like for all the drivers. As we see, Romani Onka has pulled into the pits. When are the pit stops are going to start happening for our front runners? Because Romani Onka's just pulled in the pits. He was in 15th position. Mahath Musa, who has come by, he is first of everyone that's done their first pit stop, battling his way around. Jamie Rees in 26th has completed all his pit stops. So there's a couple of drivers that are on a bit of an early strategy, which is very different to the strategies we've seen from the beginning of the season.
It is, and around a track like Bathurst, Jamie Rees, Kralin, and Duplessis completing all their pit stops with just under an hour to go. So they've basically dedicated themselves to do at least the last hour of the race on one set of tires, where the top end of the field, leaving it out late. I mean, up until Grant Sebastian in 14th place have not done a pit stop yet. So maybe you're going to see that strategy of pitting halfway around about through
there's the contact.
Sebastian.
And Paul Venter as well. Paul
Venter.
Yep, Paul the Wall got his nickname back. And drivers trying to battle themselves out and get going. You can see just moving up the hill. What on earth happened to Paul Venter? We saw what happened to Grant Sebastian, worth getting a bit tail happy. And did Paul go and kick his pinky toe once again against the wall? We're about to find out. Down the hill, and there's the snap. There's the pinky toe.
It's exactly the same accident. They just followed each other through.
That's a
There's
type
a sympathy spin
that
from Sebastian.
Yeah, that type of accident is pretty much like walking into the living room and catching your pinky toe against the against the coffee table. You know, that's unexpected, but really, really hurts. That where you think you've just broken your leg. when you kick your pinky toe against that coffee table that's just slightly out, and you knew it's been in the same place for years.
Well, Paul might have kicked his toe again against the coffee table after that accident, so who knows. But all that I can say is I'm pretty sure some interesting words were said.
Yep, there is no question there, but that has pretty much changed the face of their race, and they're going to have to try and figure out how they can get going once again. Couple of drivers still keeping a great battle. Sanjan Pillay and Werner Skuman, they taking the fight to one another. Alan Persson and SES are keeping a close fight between one another. Bego Krobler and Morgan McCall also having a great charge. But keep an eye, Cameron de Bastos setting the fastest lap time yet again. He's down in 21st position. Remember, he landed up with a big bit of contact early on and landed up with a fair amount of damage to his car. And now is putting in the fastest lap time. So I do think he's on a proper recovery drive to close down to the rest of the field.
Yep, and just in front of him, remember, Vincent Nell was also up in the top 10 earlier on and also had a bit of an accident. So he's also trying to fight his way back. But great mix-up of the field here. And, does unfortunately make for great racing if you have a little bit of an accident and it drops you back down the field and you need to fight your way up again.
Back
we
up
all
to
know.
First place, so take a look at these two, because this is going to be a proper fight. And with running so close, we were talking about the drama. Both these drivers are wanting no drama in hand as they run nose to tail up the mountain, pushing each other every step of the way. And I'm wondering what's happening to those tires, because both cars are looking like they're relying on pure mechanical grip on the nose to try and battle their way through. The rears not looking as stable as they want to.
Yeah, and that is something we've seen a lot of times before on the mountain. You don't run a lot of downforce actually, because you compensate for that long straights that you need to do at the start and at the end of the lap. So if you run too much downforce, it hurts you too much throughout those straights. So you rather take the knock in the mountain, and that allows you to do higher top end speeds throughout the straights.
I won't lie, I actually prefer more downforce, because to make up time up and down the mountain. Down the Conrad straights, yes, you will feel it quite a bit, but the last thing I want to do is go and end my race in the worst way possible. So that's something that the drivers are going to have to be aware of. And especially when you're running so close like this, if you like in SES's point of view, as he chases down Alan Patterson, he's got no aeroflow going over the car, no air passing it, going over the front and the rear. He's into the slipstream, which means Alan Patterson is punching a hole in the air, and Essie at the moment is just utilizing that slipstream, getting sucked into a bit of a vacuum. That's going to make him go faster, but at the same time, you have no pressure on the nose, no pressure on the rear, and you're relying on pure mechanical grip to get yourself going. So instead of having all the aerodynamics to help you, you're going back to basics.
Absolutely. And there's that little thing called aero wash, but having a look at this, Alan has opened up a huge gap over SES Trazen throughout the mountain section. So it's a bit of interesting to see SE taking it very gingerly throughout the mountain, and Alan be able to be a lot quicker throughout there. So I wonder if Alan is maybe running a little bit more downforce on that Lamborghini of it.
I think so. A little bit more settled than the Ferrari tailing behind him. So, interesting to point out, Mahayath Musa up into 12th position. Notice he has done his first pit stop. He's in 12th position. He's got Ryan Ottens trying to close down the distance to him. Both have completed their first pit stop. Daniel de Villiers still needing to do his pit stop. A little bit of scratch marks onto the front of that Lamborghini as it's taken a bit of a beating. Andre Serradio needing to do a pit stop. Sanjan Pillay, Keegan Saunderson, Kieran Duplessis, Johan van der Merwe, Christopher Radloff, Johan Kleinans, Daniel Rowe, Morgan McCall, Bego Krobler out in first place. All still needing to do their pit stops and get them done and dusted. The rest of the field have completed their first pit stop, and further down, Jamie Rees has completed all his pit stops along with Fafirs. So they've gone for a very, very early run at this point. Jude Neville down in 25th still needs to do one more pit stop, AJ de Kock, he's done all his pit stops. Harry Duplessis has completed all his pit stops. Remember, he also sustained some serious damage to him. Janus Kraling has completed all his pit stops. Paul Fenter still in the pits. He's getting himself going now. And has completed his first pit stop, so getting himself out there. But interesting to see, I also see Werner Skuman pulling into the pits. He was chasing down Cameron de Bastel, so he's backed out of that fight and is now getting himself done and dusted, trying to undercut the rest. Unfortunately, we have got one retired driver, and I think that was due to too much damage that happened, and the guys are having it. Oh no, Cameron!
Ooh.
There's damage
What
to
happened?
the front of that car. Let's see if we can get a camera view of what happened. He was chasing down Vincent Nell. This is on the climb up the hill. Under braking. In through the hairpin. All looking okay there. We're getting to the end of the replay that Tim brought us. And Cameron... Oh, snap, bang. And that, I think, is low aero. And that McLaren just snapping underneath him. Landing up with some massive contacts with the wall. And had to tow it back to the pit, so he's getting that all sorted out. Unfortunately, it looks like he sustained a fair amount of damage. The teams will be getting that sorted out, that he will be able to get back out on the track. Much like all the drivers, they can get back out on the circuit, and I hope that they do. Go and fight it out. Go see that checkered flag for the second last round of the Grid Championship.
Absolutely. I mean, championship coming to an end as we see Fafis running a little bit wide there. That's going to compromise his drive up the mountain. But Stephen, 2 races to go. There's still everything to fight for in this championship. As was that one of the Patterson cars out in front?
That's Daniel de Villiers, I think.
Having a fair old slide through that corner. So that
that's
Lamborghini's not looking too planted.
Yeah, he's at the moment, he's lying in 11th place, and he's got Werner Skuman in 22nd.
That was a fair chunk of wall taken.
Yep. Just going and sharing a bit of paint, swap the sponsors around as he fights his way down the hill. Definitely not getting all the rotation out of that car and is battling to keep it in check. We're starting to see more drivers doing that, where they battle their way through, much like SESS and Alan Patterson. Alan making the time up the mountain and down the mountain. He's got more aero to it. And you can just see the braking coming into play. How he's getting on the brakes is making a bit of a difference. This is one thing to keep an eye out for as they maneuver their way up and down through Bathurst. I've got to say, I love this track because it's a proper equalizer to everyone. Unrik Sikkers, oh, that's Vincent Nell. Vincent Nell and Unrik Sikkers getting a bit of contact with one another. Sikkers has got a severe amount of damage. Let's see, let's go back 30 seconds because he just had Vincent Nell, and I think Vincent Nell had nowhere to go at this point. He was chasing down Sikkers just ahead of him. And let's see what happened. Did he get turned around? Off on the dirt, into the wall, comes back, swinging around. And, Vincent Nell tried taking a gamble. Unfortunately, that did not work out for him. And is taking on some severe contact between the two of them. So now just trying to limp those cars back to the pits and get going once again.
Yeah, that's one of the unfortunate things about Bathurst, Stephen. There's no runoff area. There's walls. And if you hit the wall...
the jump doesn't exist anymore. The jump doesn't exist. Able to bring it back.
Yeah, I think that car with a lot of damage on it. So he's just trying to get it back to the pits. Maybe he thought he might go through there, but there was just no turn in the car left. The car just decided to go straight.
That's something to be well aware of, is the damage that can severely impact your race, and the drivers are going to have to bear that in mind as they battle their way through. Ryan Ottens, Mahath Musa, they keeping reasonably close to one another as they close down the distance. Jude Neville, though, I see yellow flags popped up for him. Tim, the cameraman, trying to find him.
Slowly.
Yeah, that's landed up. Oh, got a bit of damage to the front end of that nose. So Jude now having to just try and drive it back at this point and get himself all sorted out. A couple of cars pulled in the pits, getting themselves sorted out. But I think we're starting to see the impact of Bathurst. Lights are coming on. It's starting to get a little bit darker. It's starting to get a little bit more difficult. And as said, no one is safe around Bathurst. There is no car, no team, no driver in the world that is safe from the reaches of Bathurst. Even to the point that flags get red flagged because a kangaroo decides that it wants to go and watch the racing from a closer race.
It's one of the things that tend to happen around here, but you mentioned that it's getting a little bit darker. Keeping in mind it's only 25 to 12 a.m. sim time, but weather forecast, as you can see on that shot, fairly overcast. So what do you think a little bit of rain might bring to this race?
I think it'll make things rather interesting for the Grid Championship round 7, and I think that will keep everyone on their feet, that's for certain. The Grid Championship brought to you by Mettlestate and RaceFace and fueled by MTN as they put the power down. Absolutely incredible stuff to see. And I've got to say, stunning, stunning, stunning drive. Oh, it does look like that was Fafirs that went and bounced over the curb, landed up with a bit of damage, and he's trying to limp the car around. Not having an easy run there. A couple of drivers just battling out. Fafirs has been in the pits 3 times so far, might I point out, and it looks like he may be going in for a 4th time.
Sure. Yeah, it does. Oh, hitting the wall again. And again.
Oh man, I think
the guide raise.
I think the frustration at this point is starting to kick in. Trying to get himself sorted. This is going to be a tow back to the pits, but just allowing the rest of the field to go. Interesting. Morgan McCall pulls into the pits. He's getting himself sorted out. That is going to free up Bago Krobler, Daniel Rowe, Kleinans. They're all getting past. Christopher Radloff looks like he's going to get past along with Van der Merwe as he gets the drive and starts making the climb up the hill. So we've got a couple of people trying to do their best. AJ de Kock, though, in the wall. Fafirs coming round. And remember, Fafirs has got severe damage. He crashes out, spins his way down. And AJ de Kock now got a problem. So Fafirs, though, is in a bit of a precarious situation. He tows back because, unfortunately, when you're stopped in the middle of the road there, that is not going to be the safest of runs. And it's just rather tow yourself back, take the hit and get the car fixed and get back out onto the circuit. I mean, all the drivers can do it. The teams have really perfected getting these cars sorted out. A bit of duct tape, a bit of cable ties, and they get themselves going. But the confidence knock it does take when you land up in a bit of an accident does go and wear you out just a fraction.
Absolutely, no, it does. Morgan McCall stationary for a fair amount of time. I think he did take new tires on that Lamborghini, so basically splitting the race into 2 halves as we are 4 minutes away from...
Yellow flags on Sanjan Pillay, Andre Serradio. What on earth happened to them?
That's not a place where you want to be stationary.
Come, Tim, let's go and see this. This is Andre Serradio in the red Lamborghini. He's making his way through. It looks like it was a concertina effect of 4 cars. Was it Sanjan Pillay, though, that had the first problem? Oh, no! Oh. One of the PWSR cars, I think that was Keegan that landed up there. Sanjan gets collected by Andre Serradio, and Serradio pulls himself back to avoid Kraling and Paul Fenter at that point. So they landed up in a world of problem. Daniel de Villiers goes slow by, and Sanjan Pillay trying to pull himself towards himself. But Keegan Saunderson, who originally started the whole concertina effect, was the one that lost the tail end, and he is now driving with a severe amount of damage, lying in 7th place and losing out. Kraling, who is back out on the charge after his damage, is now trying to make his way past, looks up on the inside. Remember, he's trying to run away at the moment as he's got Paul Fenter trying to close down the distance to him. Paul Fenter hoping that he can get past without too much of a hassle at this point. Sanjan Pillay moving over to one side. He's going after Mahayath Musa, and wow, okay, pitboard destroyed. Game over.
Fine. I saw that out of the corner of my eye, but not quite sure who it was that went through that pit.
Let's see who killed Kenny. Let's see who wiped out Kenny at this point. So, let's go to our headicam with Tim. See who wiped out Kenny. Here's Mahayath Musa. Mahayath Musa was the first one going to hit it and destroyed Kenny at that point. And then you had the likes of Sanjan Pillay get all out of shape, nearly wiping out the pit boards as well. Remember, he's got a fair amount of damage to him. So getting himself sorted.
McCall just completed all his pit stops. He did 2 pit stops quickly in succession.
Interesting. Maybe taking a look at the situation at hand and what's going on. trying to see if maybe you can undercut the top end of the field. Bago Krobler, Daniel Rowe, Johan Kleinans first, second, and third. Christopher Adloff in fourth, Johan van der Merwe in fifth. Sixth, Kieran Duplessis, followed by Andre Serradio, Daniel De Villiers, Mahayath Musa, Ryan Ottens, Justin Lotus, Alan Patterson, Essie Esterhuis, Morgan McCall, and Sanjay Pillay still in the pits with severe damage. Keegan Saunderson, severe damage. Ramona Yonka in 17th. I think it's going to change. Grant Sebastian, Vincent Nell, Werner Skuman, Harry Duplessis, Unrik Sikkers, AJ de Kock, Jude Neville, Johannes Kraling, Paul Fenter. It does look like Fafiers is sustained a fair amount of damage. Oh, Paul Fenter into the Forest Elbow. Paul Fenter into the Forest Elbow. There's a fair amount of damage in that car, and he's just trying to recover it. What happened? Let's go on board and see as he battles his way through. Blue flag's being waved down into second gear. You can see he's fighting to keep the car in a bit of a tow. Did he outbrake? Oh, no. First catch of the wall, and it just all the way down, rocketing back. That, unfortunately, is the problem with heading down the mountain. You take one knock, and it's just a ping pong all the way through. Paul Fenter trying to limp the car back on the grass. He's trying to get himself up and going. So a few cars walking away with a little bit of a bump, a scratch, a knock, maybe a dent, and needing to go and visit the panel beaters at this point.
Total rebuild.
Yeah, think about it. Time to get the spare car out the pits. Ramona Yonka, Grant Sebastian, they're one of the closest fights on the circuit, along with Mahayath Musa and Ryan Ottens, as they also in a very, very close fight, getting past Justin Lotus. So good to see him out there. Kerry Duplessis, though, see him trying to recover. He dropped a wheel off the circuit a little bit earlier as well.
But Keegan Saunderson with a stop-go 32nd, and Sanjan Pillay with a drive-through.
So, two things that's happened. Keegan Saunderson got off the button a little bit too early, and Sanjan Pillay for track limits being exceeded. And unfortunately, that has taken a knock and goes and impacts their race. Mahayath Musa getting a little bit of a push from Ryan Ottens up the hill, saying, go, 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 buddy. We need to start opening up the gap here. You can't hang around, as we need to close down on Harry Duplessis up in 6th position. Daniel De Villiers has got Morgan McCall. Morgan goes and gets past, so Daniel De Villiers opens up a door. Under brake, you can see both sliding their way through. Apex is somewhere there, and De Villiers just letting Morgan know, listen, well done, bud, good pass. Let's see if we can keep up the charge now. I see we do have yellow flags for 296. That's Jude Neville that's landed off in the dirt. So he's getting himself back out onto the circuit, and looks like he has sustained a bit of damage as well. So drivers are getting their scars at the moment around Bathurst. The mountain showing off why it's one of the most difficult circuits in the world, and has been proven that for years and years and years. As if you can conquer the mountain, Mahayath Musa off the circuit. And there's Ryan Ottens.
Rallycross.
Yep.
Now, I just want to say something. There is a certain driver that the likes of Bago Krobler, Daniel Rowe, and the likes also of Morgan McCall needs to be very worried about. And that is this man, Ryan Ottens.
Now, Ryan Ottens is a proper fight at the moment. Mahayath Musa has pulled into the pits and get himself going. Essie Este is coming past the line. He's trying to get himself going at the moment for the Grid Championship. Powered by MTN, brought to you by Mettlestate and RaceFace. This is turning into a very interesting battle. Lots of different strategies, but Morgan McCall is not one to count out yet. He's in 12th place, completed all these pit stops. Vincent Nell, who's also completed all these pit stops, a little bit further down in 17th. He's got Werner Skuman trying to chase him down. Keegan Saunderson still needing to do one more pit stop. Sanjan Pillay still needing to do one more pit stop as well. Remember, Sanjan's done a drive-through penalty, so he's going to be doing 3 stops come the end of this race in total. But drivers are starting to figure out what strategies are going to work out for them, and it's going to be a thought for the front runners. 20 laps completed so far, 37 minutes left of the race of this 1 hour 20 minute all-out sprint race for the second last round of the season. As you see, Mahayath Musa rejoining the circuit is going to have all the Hybrid Academy cars right behind him. They are going to be chasing him down. So Mahayath Musa trying to get a little bit more of a run and break away from Justin Lotus.
Yeah, Stephen, there's still a lot of time left in this race. 36, 37 minutes to go. Anything can still happen. You know, a lot of drivers leaving it very late to pit. Top 6 has not done a single pit stop yet.
And then we've got... Just to go and call you a liar, Johan van der Merwe does that.
Thank you, Mr. van der Merwe. But what I wanted to say, and then we've got Morgan McCall in 9th place that have completed all these pit stops. So watch out for him moving up the order as all the drivers in front of him start doing their pit stop. I think that's going to be very interesting. And I'm still keeping an eye on Mr. Ryan Ottens in 7th place, fighting his way back from the back of the grid. So I will not be surprised if he starts battling for that top 3 by the end of the race if he carries on like this.
23 positions gained. I do want to see Cameron de Bastos still out. He is in the pits currently, can get back out on circuit. And Fafia's also still needing to get back out on the circuit. I think at this point, the teams are trying to convince him, say, listen, don't give up, get back in there, let's go racing, and then we'll grab an ice cream afterwards. And that's what I want to see. The guys get back out onto the circuit, get back into that fight. Yes, it's a blow. Yes, it's a confidence blow. But finishing the race will go and dampen the impact and have you going and racing. Oh, Neville getting caught up, and I think he was going slow and crailing. And that, I think, was Vincent Nell that came in at almighty speed.
I'd actually like to see that replay.
Okay, well, this is Vincent Nell. This is in car with him. And let's see the horror movie unfold in front of him, because it's all blind. So what he saw was a yellow flag feathering the throttle as he comes over the crest. There we go. Bang! Into Jude Neville's car. Oh, man. That, and take a look, that is how he's trying to drive the car, steering way beyond 90 degrees at this point, just trying to drag it back. You can hear the wheels dragging to pull themselves there. Man, that just, it hurts. It properly hurts. But I don't think the drivers need to give up right now. Anything can happen to every single one of these drivers, and seeing that checkered flag will make it. You know, do what you can, guys. Do what you can. If you can get back behind the rig, get back behind the steering wheels, get back into those cars, finish the race. It's the second last round. Rather finish than get a DNF on the card.
Well, at this stage, we've got 28 cars remaining in the race, still fighting their way around the circuit. But that's the thing about Bathurst, Stephen. It's sometimes a battle of survival, and he who survives the best, you know, tends to do good in the race.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's my plea to the drivers, if you can, and also to the teams, the spectators, the family members watching, all cheering on. If you got someone that's in this race, whether it be in the Pro-Am or the Am, and they can keep going, convince them to keep going. Tell them to keep going. Because to see the end of the race is going to be one of the big moments. Finish what you started. We've had a few drivers not here this evening due to circumstances that may have been way out of their control, such as load shedding or so, that weren't able to make it. Other drivers able to make it. So let's see them cross that line. Go see that checkered flag and show off what they can do. Why not?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's around a track like Bathurst, it is an accomplishment just to see the finish line.
That's it. So, there we go. Jude Neville saying, not my greatest moment, killing my teammate.
Oopsie.
Well, you could say that you gave him a bit of a shock. There was definitely the sound of a kazoo going off when he saw you over the crest. That's for certain. So all about getting it back out on the circuit. So let's see what they'll be able to do. The drivers, every single one of them, trying to push the boundaries at the moment. Bago Krobler leading out the charge. Daniel Rowe in second. Christopher Adloff in third. Kieran Duplessis in fourth. Ryan Ottens in fifth. Johan Kleinans out in sixth place. Johan van der Merwe. Morgan McCall. Daniel de Villiers. SES Days. out in 10th place. 11th, Mahath Musa, Justin Lotus, Alan Patterson, Andres Aradio, Werner Skuman, Romani Yonka in 16th. 17th is Grant Sebastian, followed by Kerry Duplessis, Anrik Sikkers, Sanjin Pillay, Keegan Saunderson, AJ de Kock, Johannes Kraling, Vincent Nell, Jude Neville, Paul Fenter, Cameron de Bastos. Get in the car, buddy. Get in the car. And, get back out there. And then Fafia's also going and keeping it. So I think the drivers can get back out on the circuit. Jude Neville, though, I see trying to also get his way around. He landed up with a bit of yellow flags. I think he dropped a wheel on the dirt. We had a chat to him a little bit earlier, going and saying he had a problem. So let's see what they'll do.
Well, still 31 minutes to go, so everything still left to fight for, and I think things are going to get interesting come 20 minutes, 15 minutes to go. But at this stage, the top four, Krobler, Rowe, Radloff, and Duplessis, they've not completed a single pit stop yet. So here's my question: do you think they're going to finish this on one set of tires?
I think the option to take a set of tyres has been taken away from them, considering where Morgan McCall is, SES Days, Mahath Musa. They're all keeping a very, very close battle at the moment, and that's going to be a proper thing to think of. Daniel de Villiers also needs to do one stop. I think his option to choose tyres is gone. Johannes Kraling, who's had multiple incidents at this point, still keeping out there. He's done 2 stops. Ryan Ottens has completed 1 stop. Done a splash and dash, but I think his choice of taking an extra set of tires is completely gone at this point, because any time gained for getting a new set of slicks put onto that car is going to result in some heavy losses.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. It's too late to fit new tires now. You won't be able to make the time back up out on track that you lose fitting new tires. So they are on a 1-tire strategy, and we'll have to see how those cars perform during the remaining 29 minutes of race, and how it will hurt their lap times. But having said that, Stephen, I think they did the long run testing. They would know how it's going to affect these cars roughly during the latest parts of the race.
I beg to differ. Due to the incidents that we've seen on track, that's pretty much taken whatever planning you originally had and want the life out of the tyres under braking and extreme braking, and also the battles that you get into. You can practice and practice and practice, but let's be honest, once you get into a race and you're battling it out, the conditions are constantly changing, the dynamics change, how hard you're pushing it, that red mist coming into play can impact it, and that's what I think the drivers are going to be well aware of, is yes, everything may be a bit of a battle in terms of what your strategy is going to be, and yes, I can run a set of tires, but if you start flat spotting those tires, if you start pushing too hard, wearing down the rubbers, is it going through too many heat cycles to what you practiced? Those are the other things to bring in. A practice can be perfect conditions. A race is controlled chaos.
Controlled chaos, you say. Well, it is sometimes. That is what it is. So we'll have to wait and see. 28 minutes to go. I still say anything can happen in this race, as we see one of the Ferraris running a little bit wide.
Now that's Mahath Musa that's currently out on track, who's in the BMW sliding his way around.
It was Lotus. Yeah. I think it was Lotus behind him that just ran a little bit wide.
Yeah, Justin Lotus going and pushing, trying to gain on Mahath Musa. But Mahath Musa has taken a new set of tyres, so has Justin Lotus. They've both taken new sets of tyres. Kleinons has taken tyres. He's in 6th place at the moment. Ryan Otten's ahead of him, is in 5th place, has only done a splash and dash. Johan van der Merwe, who went and did a bit of repair work, fueling, and taken a set of tyres in 7th. So a couple of drivers choosing to take that little bit more fuel. Vincent Nell, I think, went and caught the dirt a little bit as he tries to get himself going. I saw yellow flags being attached to him. So let's see, this is into turn 1, out on the brakes, goes out wide. All looking okay there. Don't see why yellow flags would have been displayed. There's Morgan McCall. Okay, I'll see what it is. He moves slightly over, touched the grass, allowing Morgan McCall to get past and just saying, look, buddy, you're not my race. You get going. I'm going to just keep going on my race and keep the challenge up. So interesting to see a couple of drivers choosing to go and change tyres. Ryan Ottens and Johan Kleinans, for one, are in two different strategies. Ryan Ottens, splash and dash on his first pit stop. Kleinans taking tyres and fuel on his first pit stop. So he is closing down the distance. He's got a little bit more fresh rubber compared to Ryan Ottens in this race.
Yeah, it's interesting to see, and I think what strategy Ryan Ottens is on, because he was fighting his way from the back of the grid, he is trying to spend the least amount of time possible in the pits and trying to make up one or two positions by doing so.
Well, he started in 29th. He's up to 24th. He's gone up 24 positions. He's up into 5th place. Second highest
That's
of
not
ever.
going to help him.
Oh, that's, I mean, dropping wheel on the dirt ain't going to get you anywhere. And that's going to allow Kleinans to get into the toe, pull himself along. He is properly chasing him down, trying to utilize that slipstream. The McLaren very, very quick in a straight line. And let's see if he will be able to utilize it. Now it's a climb up the mountain. This is where having a fresh pair of rubber is going to make a difference. And Ryan Ottens is going to have to make that Ferrari as wide as possible to try and hold the McLaren at bay. And this is going to be a proper little fight between the two of them. They're going to scrap it up right through the mountain, really putting on the power. And you can see Ryan Ottens getting a little bit sideways. I think those tires are starting to fall off now, while Kleinans is getting closer and closer to the fight. He is doing everything he can and having a bit of a grimace at the moment right in the rearview mirrors of Ryan Ottens. And this is what he could see on his way down, is just having to monitoring the brake lights of Ryan Ottens, who can bait him into making a mistake just by slowing up a little bit sideways and now into the forest bend. You can see down into first gear, very, very close up against the wall, and how hard they're having to push it. So it just tells you how desperate he is to get past at the moment.
Yeah, doing absolutely everything he can, tucking up into the slipstream of Ryan Ottens. See if that can get him closer to the rear end of that Ferrari, but not close enough at this stage to go for the pass as they reach the end of. And cameraman Tim, you know, no, he likes trees, but just focus on the action sometimes.
I definitely want to keep an eye out for as Ryan Ottens and Kleinans are going and fighting it tooth and nail at this point. Fantastic to see. And I mean, for Ryan Ottens, if we just take a look off his rear wing, you can see how he's battling it out with the likes of Kleinans right behind him. Not giving up the fight just as yet, as they put down the throttle and really trying to get going. There's the slipstream, and Kleinans closing. You can see that grimace starting to come into effect. And now it is a drag race. Kleinans has got the inside line. Can he keep it going? Ottens stuck on the outside, trying to go a cut back. Kleinans gets a little bit of sideways, comes across the nose of Ryan Ottens, goes for the defense now up the hill. Ryan Ottens looking to try and battle it out, hard on the brakes, misses the apex. That's going to cost him a fair amount of time as he loses out the drive. Gabriel Santos going in, letting us know about Mahaif Musa has changed tyres. So Gabriel Santos going in, chatting to the team and getting a little bit of information here to the commentary box, which is always good to see. The guys just having a bit of a chat, and it's good to see that we're getting information not from the teams, the drivers, the spectators, all letting us know. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for the second last round of the Grid Championship, brought to you by Mettlestate and RaceFace and fueled by MTN. I do see a car off. That is Kleinans.
No, Kleinans.
What on earth happened? Right, let's see where it's all gone wrong for him. Not too close to the wall there.
It's underbraking, yeah.
Underbraking over the crest as it lightens up.
There we go.
He got it sideways before the crest. So before he got over the top of the crest, he was already going sideways. And that is turning into a bit of a run. Gabriel Santos saying, part of the Project Vapor team. I know that. Seen you race with them more than once. And I've also seen you go and chirp your teammates more than once as well to tell them, hey guys, get a little bit quicker. You know, I'm trying to give you guys a little bit more of a push, like Grant Sebastian over here in 17th position. He's getting told, chase, chase, chase. You've got Kleinhans ahead of you who's just lost out the drive. If you can utilize the slipstream, you may be in for a winning wicket at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. As we see Kleinhans on the inside and Sebastian.
I think he let him go. Those tyres are shot.
Yeah, no, I think those tyres overheated. Actually won't be. No, doesn't go into the pits. So he's going to try and revive those tyres, but that might take a lap or so. But I was just thinking.
And Unrixefers are also taking a good fight to one another. They're also a very close battle.
Yeah, it's always, good to see the close battles out on track. But just thinking about a chirping moment where you say to your teammates, I've come up with a strategy that may work. And then when they ask you, what's the strategy? How about you get a second a lap quicker?
Yeah, drive faster.
Yeah, drive faster.
I think at this point, while the drivers are giving it the absolute all, there's their race boss sitting going, you want an ice cream? I can give you one after the race is done.
I think at this stage they're looking at at least a rum and raisin ice cream, if not something stronger.
Take a look at Daniel de Villiers and take a look. The cars all started to concertina. Jude Neville has got Paul Fenter, who's under a bit of pressure behind him. But Daniel de Villiers is up against the rear of Kleinhans at the moment. Closed down the distance. 0.3. Kleinhans gets it sideways. He saves it. Daniel de Villiers went and changed the color of his shorts. Now Daniel around the outside gets the pass done. Kleinhans gets it caught out. He's trying to do everything he can. There is Jude Neville who's doing everything he can to keep up the charge. He has got Paul Fenter tailing him behind, his teammate, trying to say, hey, listen, you got to get going because we got Vincent Nell behind us, who's in 24th. He's giving me the blue flags at the moment, and he's currently ahead of both of us behind us, and we got to keep this pace going if we want to keep the train going. So all three teammates going and keeping within one another at this moment. Jude Neville trying to go around the likes of Kleinhans, does so perfectly just fine there. Vincent Nell getting caught up. Paul Fenter also trying to unlap himself at the moment. Kleinhans is on a heavy hurting strategy right now. He pulls into the pits. So he's trying to get himself all sorted out as they battle their way through. For the final 20 minutes of this race, the Grid Championship brought to you by Mettlestate and RaceFace, empowered by MTN. And what a better way to start closing up the season with a battle around the mountain here at Bathurst for round 7. We will have a round 8, which will be our final round. And then also, we've got an encore because we don't want to see the racing end just as yet. So it's going to be an encore round coming up after next week. So keep an eye out on social media. And all the drivers don't know what track they will be racing on. Oh, Sickers, though, is going to be figuring out. Oh, into the wall. Yep, that Ferrari galloped away from his control. He lost the reins of that horse, and unfortunately it decided it wanted no part of that battle.
Yeah, and that's definitely going to cost him a little bit of time. Kleinhans does look like he's changing tires with 18 minutes to go. I think that was a decision that was kind of made for him, and those tires were gone, so he had to get rid of them, get a new set of boots on, because that car pretty much seemed undrivable, and there might have also been a little bit of damage on the car, so he had to get that fixed as well. Undertaking
a bit of a blow, but still going to get out and get racing once again, which I think all the drivers need to. They can do it, they can get back out, get those cars off the trailers, get them back into the track and go and finish up seeing that checkered flag. Yes, it is a gutting situation in terms of what we've seen, a couple of incidents that have been way out of the driver's control at the point they just arrive on the scene of an accident, or the car's just launching up in the air as they land into a problem. Sanjan Pillay looking up on the inside of Kerry Duplessis, gets by and drops a wheel on the dirt. He goes off, and Kerry says, thank you, I'll retake that, no problem at all. And thanks for rolling out the carpet on that. So just so easy to make little mistakes, and this track is so unforgiving. It looks so easy until you get out on it and you realize the undulations, how it lightens the car's steering wheel, how you've got to really drive your way through. You've got to trust in the car. And if it's going to be one mistake, it's going to be a big one.
Yeah, around Bathurst, it normally tends to be something quite big. But a little bit of contact there between Neville and Paul, and that makes Paul run wide. And was that Nell that went up on the inside?
Vincent Nell, who's trying to get past the back markers, and fellow friends now having to fight it out. Paul Fenter just getting a little bit of the heave-ho off to one side through the second corner, now battling his way through. So this has turned into a little three-car race. It's not for position, though, but they're going to fight it out like it is for position.
Yeah, we'll just Paul in the wall again.
Yeah, Paul going and stubbing his toe. Vincent Nell deciding to cut the grass. And Jude Neville, who's just driving a brick wall at the moment, not lying. And Paul, where on earth are you going, buddy? And take a look. Here's a fight for position. Sanjan Pillay and Kerry Duplessis going and making their way down the mountain as they come. And turning into quite a phenomenal race between them as well. Out in front, though, Daniel Rowe leading the charge. Christopher Radloff in second. Kieran Duplessis in third. Bago Krobler in fourth, has completed his first pit stop. Ryan Ottens in fifth place. Sixth, Johan van der Merwe getting back out and is chasing down. He's done his first pit stop. Morgan McCall in seventh position, only 5 seconds behind Johan van der Merwe. He's completed all his stops. And then you got Daniel de Villiers in 8th, 9th, SES Days, Mahayath Musa trying to close down on him, Justin Lotus in 11th, Alan Patterson, Johan Kleinans, Andre Seradio, Werner Skuman, Ramona Yonka, Grant Sebastian, Kerry Duplessis, Sanjan Pillay, right onto the back of him for 19th position, Keegan Saunderson, AJ de Kock, Unrik Sikkers, along with Janus Kraling, Vincent Nell, Jude Neville, who is ahead of this little pack. Paul Fenter managing to get past Vincent Nell is going to keep the pressure. So they might be at the back, not fighting for position, but they're going to fight it up because I think it's a matter of pride at this point.
It is, and these battles are up and down the field, and it's fucking just beat the guy in front of me as we have a look at Kerry Duplessis. He's got Sanjan Pillay behind him. Sanjan's going to look to go around the outside. That's a fairly interesting move, but it is going to put him on the inside for the next corner. So I think it's a move that might just pay off for him, and it does.
Absolutely incredible stuff. The guys doing everything they can and putting the power down. And Kerry Duplessis trying to carry the momentum at the moment as he claws his way through. He's not going to back up. And then Grant Sebastian lining up with putting a wheel on the dirt. He caused a bit of a yellow flag. And that will flare up on everyone's screens to be very cautious. And everyone's going to be so cautious as they power their way through. Sanjan Pillay, though, getting a little bit unsteady under braking as they make their way down the mountain.
Yeah, that's a section of the track just before the dipper that we've seen a lot of cars get unstable, out of shape, hit walls. So you get that uncomfortable feeling in your stomach each time you go through there, just hoping that the car sticks.
Yeah, no, the drivers all trying to figure out what will work for them and trying to get going.
So
this is going to be interesting.
30 minutes to go. Daniel Rose completed his first pit stop. So Christopher Radloff, Kieran Duplessis with 13 minutes to go, still needing to do both their pit stops. And keep in mind, with 13 minutes to go, Steve, there's only 6 or 7 laps left in this race.
From entrance to exit of a pit stop takes you 28 seconds. So bear that in mind. The drivers are going to have to really push as hard as they can for the Grid Championship Round 7. Brought to you by Mettlestate and RaceFace and fueled by MTN. I see Christopher Radloff has got into the pits. Daniel Rowe switching around. He gets past likes of Kieran Duplessis and Bago Krobler, as it looks like Kieran pulling himself into the pits, going to get himself sorted out to get his pit stop. 27 seconds, so 28 seconds of lost time for one pit stop. I think going a little bit too late in the race is going to be a problem. And understand they've got a pit window of 11 minutes as they put down the power. And really trying to close up the distance between them.
Yeah, but does look like Daniel Rowe got past Bego Grobler there. So Daniel Rowe was running behind Grobler for the majority of the race, as we see the rear end stepping out on Musa's BMW there. So it's interesting to see that Daniel is now basically in first. There we go. Timesheets updated. Daniel now in first place with Bego in second.
So interesting to point out, Daniel Rowe, Bego Grobler still needing to pit. Christopher Radloff still needing to do his last pit stop. Ryan Orton's in fourth place now. He is ahead of Kieran Duplessis in fifth. So they have done their first pit stops. So our timing board needing to update. Jan van der Merwe has got one pit stop to go. Morgan McCall still within that threat, 7th position, has completed all these pit stops. Daniel de Villiers needing to do a pit stop. So they are really chasing down. And
oh, Neville,
what happened, buddy? What happened? Down the Conrad Straight.
Yeah, after the straight.
So this was under braking that it looks like the tail end might have snapped underneath him.
Or after the corner, the rear end stepped out. Let's have a look. Oh, no.
Nope, just forgot where the corner was.
Oops, whoopsie.
Into the wall.
Yeah.
Yep. Unfortunately, that brake pedal goes only so far, and then it eventually runs out.
You know, it's very interesting when you come through that kink and you're lining up your brake marker, and all of a sudden you realize, oopsie, I should have braked back there. It's now too late.
No, this is turning into a monstrous battle. Essie Estes and Mahath Musa are going to take the fight to one another. Essie just leading ahead of Mahath Musa, is closing down the distance right behind him. This is a battle within the top 10. They're only 1 second apart. One of our closest battles out on circuit. Second to that is Justin Lotus and Alan Patterson, 1.5 seconds between one another. Bego Grobler and Daniel Rowe, they leading out the charge, and I think they're not going to argue too much at this point of who's going to be ahead of who.
No, and I don't think they're going to take any unnecessary risk. But Stephen, can we say this fight between SES Razen and Musa is a major battle?
This is turning into a bit of a battle between the two, as they both fighting for points in the championship for the Grid Championship Season 4 and trying to make their way through. Remember, Essie at the moment is currently lying 8th in the championship, and then you got Mahath Musa lying in 15th, but Mahath Musa needs to gain points because he can close up right onto the back of Christopher Radloff and Daniel Rowe.
Paul Fenter went straight.
My heavens, Paul forgetting where the course goes and opting to go flying out. And there's Jude Neville that says, okay, buddy, I'm going to go by. Keegan Saunderson pulling past as well. He's not going to worry too much about it. They're not fighting for position, but definitely a couple of the drivers figuring out what they need to do.
Well, Stephen, I want to mention something, and Paul, this one is for you, buddy. I think you're...
Oh, Vincent
is
Nell.
that Nell?
That's Vincent Nell returning on circuit. He landed up with a bit of a crash and some severe damage to the front of his Lamborghini, and now has got a bit of a problem.
Yeah, that's going to hurt him. It does really look like that Lamborghini is hurting. Got a lot of laps still left to do before he can get that car sorted. Now, Stephen, the question that I wanted to ask, Paul, you've had such an eventful race that your whole Friday program can be about yourself.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
And it's got to be a long one. So with 7 minutes, 45 seconds left to go, out in front, we've got Daniel Rowe, followed very closely by Bego Grobler, but I do not think these two are going to battle each other too much. Don't think they're going to take any unnecessary risk as they fight track, Steve.
No, this is turning into a very interesting one. Ryan Otter's pulling into the pits, and that's going to allow Morgan McCall and Jan van der Merwe to get past and give up give into the chase. Morgan McCall up into 6th place, has completed all these pit stops and is on the hard charge to catch up to Van der Merwe just ahead of him. And this is going to be a proper run down to the wire between them. Mahath Musa getting past Essie, as Essie just doesn't have the straight line compared to that BMW, which tells me it's got slightly more aero at this point and is able to get a little bit more of a drive. With only 6 minutes and 53 seconds left of the race, 5 minutes and 50 seconds left of that pit window, all the drivers are going to have to get themselves in and out. Daniel Rowe, Bego Krobler, Christopher Radloff, Koen Du Plessis, Johan van der Merwe, and Daniel de Villiers. Daniel de Villiers is actually getting his pit stop done and dusted now. So Johan van der Merwe, Koen Du Plessis, Christopher Radloff, Bego Krobler, and Daniel Rowe are the only drivers still out on circuit that still need to do their final pit stop.
And time is running out very quickly, Stephen. There's not a lot of time left in this race. You said it, top 5 still needing to do their pit stop. Morgan McCall lying and waiting in 6th position to see what happens out in front. He is what we used to call net first place. So we'll have to see.
He's 3.9 seconds behind Johan van der Merwe. Van der Merwe is going to lose his position for sure because it takes him 28 seconds to drive through the pits. Koen Du Plessis is 11 seconds ahead of him, so he might be able to hold on to his drive if he can keep up his current pace of a 2:02. But Morgan McCall coming back with those 2:01.5, 2:01.3 may be able to close down on him. I think going for first is going to be a stretch, but going into
I'd say top 3.
I would say 4th is going to be the closest at this point. Justin Lotus, Alan Patterson, they're going to take the fight to one another. They're fighting for the top 10.
Good to see Alan fighting for the top 10 for a change again. Also a driver that hasn't had the best of times recently. He had 1 or 2 brilliant races, but also 1 or 2 not so brilliant races. But good to see Alan fighting for that top 10, and let's see if by the get into that top 10.
Yeah, and Tim the cameraman trying to catch the action because it's fast and fierce out there. Justin Lotus dropping a wheel. Alan gets up.
Sorry, Alan.
I think that was a bit of lift-off oversteer that came into effect because he tucked up behind Justin Lotus. Justin got low drive. He had to come off the throttle, and I can almost guarantee that was the issue. So let's go into the helmet cam. I think the Lamborghini had its lift-off oversteer, which we've seen. Second gear.
We've seen it a couple of times.
Oh, just that slow snap. That slow snap. And, there is just so many battles going on. And I think it's going to take the wind out of lots of people's sails. But ultimately, they've got to get back out there. They've got to get back in fighting. Vincent Nell's in the pits. Paul Fenter's in the pits. They've been in the pits for quite some time. Cameron de Bastos, as we know, and Fafia is still in the pits. Those drivers can still get out and get racing. At the moment, 24 cars still circulating for the Grid Championship. Fueled by MTN. Brought to you by Mettlestate and RaceFace.
Yep, not a lot of time left. 3 minutes to go. I say there's no more than 2-3 laps left in the race. Rather 2 than 3, depending on where the leaders are in the lap. So,
Kieran in the pits. Morgan McCall up into 4th place. Now is 29 seconds behind Christopher Radloff in 3rd, who still needs to do his pit stop. Van der Merwe falling down the order as well as he gets his pit stop done and dusted.
So, what do you think is going to happen out in front, Stephen? You think Daniel and Bago? Well, there's still a pit stop to go. So let's first get that out the way.
There's still a pit stop to go, but whether they're going to work with each other or not, because taking a look at the championship, Daniel Rowe is in 9th, Christopher Radloff is in 10th of the championship, and then you've got Bego Krobler, who is a little bit further down. He's actually not within the top 10. He's in 20th position. So whether he's going to hold station or is he going to put up the fight to really keep them honest, that's the questions that's going to come through. Is Are you going to battle the teammate out as they both single file into the pits? I think the race boss going and being like the teacher calling roll call. You have to walk in single file into the classroom. That's exactly what was done.
Oh, well, luckily this is not Formula One, so they don't have to double stack them. You know, they each have their own pit box, so they can pit at the same time without losing any time. But
Christopher
Adloff also in the pits. So everybody has now, in some form or another, done all their pit stop, even though Bago, Rowe, and Christopher Adloff are still busy with their last.
Yeah, not able to close down the distance, really putting the power on and getting a little bit more momentum at the moment. I do think Morgan McCall might get that third place if he can get the power down. It's going to be close because Christopher Adloff's pulling off now and they are going to be battling it out. So Tim in the helicam is going to show there's both into shot. Morgan around the outside is going to get the drive. And let's see if he can keep it, though, because here comes Christopher Adloff pulling right into the toe, fighting for the top three at the moment. And this is for third place. This is all on the cards. Christopher Adloff trying to get as many points as he can to get out of 10th place. And remember, Morgan McCall is further down the championship due to everything that's gone on. He is trying to pull himself right to the end and show that Lady Luck is in the pit. So let's see what he will be able to do as he gets a little bit more momentum. This is going to be a close battle. As we heard Jim call that the pit lane is now closed. So it's going to be an outright charge through and through for all the drivers trying to make their way around the circuit for the last time around Bathurst for the season. This is going to be a proper run. Daniel Rowe into second place, Bago Krobler into first. It looks like Daniel Rowe might have gone and lost out a bit of time there.
Well, Daniel spent a lot longer time in the pits than Bago, so might have been that he had to put in a lot more fuel. But we are at the end of the race, so it doesn't quite make sense.
Yeah, final lap. Bago Krobler getting told that he will be on the final lap, out in first place, making a great charge at the moment. Bago slowing up.
Krobler! Bago, what?
He slowed up.
Is he waiting? Is he waiting for Daniel Rowe? Remember, we are in that part of the championship where your drivers that are in the best position need to maximize points. Do you think that's what's happening? Or is he running out of fuel? Daniel Rowe running into the back of him.
So I want to go take a look.
That was the end of the race. What happened?
He's accelerating.
So he's waiting for Daniel Rowe.
Yep, that's...
Did their move not work out?
That's feathering the throttle.
Yeah. There's the finish line.
So Bago Krobler ultimately taking the win. Daniel Rowe taking second place. Morgan McCall taking third. Christopher Adloff in fourth. Ryan Ottens, Q Duplessis, along with Johan van der Merwe in seventh. Bahayeth Musa in eighth. Ninth is going to SES Days. Justin Lotus going and taking 10th. 11th, Alan Patterson, along with Daniel de Villiers, Johan Kleinans, Andre Soradio taking 14th. Werner Skuman going and coming across the line taking 15th. Along with Ramona Yonka, Grant Sebastian in 17th, Sanjan Pillay in 18th position, Kerry Duplessis in 19th, 20th going to Keegan Saunderson, AJ de Kock, along with Unrik Sikkers making his way through, Johannes Kraling and Jude Neville taking 24th position. Couple of drivers still out there racing, Unrik Sikkers and AJ de Kock still needing to come across the line, both of them pushing as hard as they can to get across the line. What a finish. What a very interesting finish in terms of
trying to figure
out. Yeah, trying to figure that one out. I would think he was trying to slow up, but
I think Bago wanted to give Daniel Rowe the win, but didn't slow up enough.
Ran out of track. But there goes our drivers completing the race and done and dusted. Let's head to a break and come back with a bit of highlight.
Amabogobogo are defending their title in France this year. Die ons bokke op hul pad met jou beste stem en shai gwijo yako by entering your school or club's gwijo anthem into the MTN Gwijo Challenge. Win your share of R1,000,000 by doing what it takes. Sponise, MTN, doing what it takes.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. What a race there, Janneman. What an interesting change of events. Morgan McCall ultimately taking third place, keeping ahead. Bago Krobler taking first and Daniel Rowe taking second as they came across the line. But lots and lots of drama through the circuit. Guys all pushing themselves a bit. And unfortunately, some getting a little bit more knackered for the Grid Championship. Round 7 brought to you by RaceFace and Mettlestate and fueled by MTN.
Yeah, absolutely, Stephen. That was an interesting one. From start to finish, as you said, there were a couple that really battled their way around the track in numerous ways, battled with walls and battled with gravel and grass. But hey, this is the mountain. This is Bathurst, and we do tend to see these kind of races around here. End of the race. That was interesting. That's all I can say. I'm not quite sure what the tactic was there and if it worked out the way it should have.
Yeah, no, proper little charge, but round 7 ultimately putting on a fantastic show. Gotta say, love it. Love Bathurst. 60th anniversary of the Bathurst 1000 this weekend, and what a way to kick it off with some amazing racing from the Grid Championship. Some proper side-by-side moments up and down through the hill, but we also saw how the mountain can claim the lost souls that battle its way through. It's a warrior's fight all the way through, but some very, very interesting racing as drivers had to push themselves and push the boundaries of what they can do here for the Grid Championship, and what a run it has been.
Absolutely, and now we need to move forward to the last race of the championship to see who will reach the top step of the podium at the end of the season, and who will take this championship. There's still everything left to fight for, and I think next week's going to be just as interesting.
That's it, and also take a look over to Mettlestate. Registrations are open for the Rocket League. And many other little things that go on. You can win R1,000 just for going for Call of Duty, Brawlhalla, and so much more. So take a look over at Mettlestate.com for some amazing competitions. Brought to you by Intel, MSI, Cougar, just to name a few brands that are involved with it, and powered by MTN and many others getting behind the esports scene. Mettlestate, the one and only home for the world of competition esports, and that's gotta say, absolutely fantastic. Also to come up this week on 26th of September, we head out to Singapore, round 10 for the RaceFace 2023 F1, as they look to put a bit more of a charge, get more of a run, and really do battle. Singapore going to be a very interesting run for all the Formula 1 cars, and who can get the DRS train by the start line? Well, we're about to find out. Maybe getting a little bit of luck that we saw this weekend with Ferrari. Also coming up, as you mentioned, the Grid Championship round 8, last round at Suzuka next week, and we are going to have a huge amount of fun. Suzuka was the curtain raiser and will be when the curtain closes, and after Suzuka we do have a mystery encore round to keep all the drivers on their feet, so do not miss that one out, because we're going to see a whole new set of drivers coming into play with a bit more of a fun encore. But next week, Suzuka, the final round of the Grid Championship Season 4, brought to you by Mettlestate and RaceFace and powered by MTN. It's not to be missed, ladies and gentlemen. Also bringing up on 23rd of September, round 7 at Kyalami Full Automobilista 2, brought to you by RaceFace. And let's see what the Formula 1s can do around Kyalami. But Janneman, with that being said, done and dusted, we're in for an absolute treat of racing. Now heading into the final round, as you said, who's going to get that top spot on the podium to walk away the champion, walk away with the prizes? Who's going to get second? Who's going to get third? And all the way down the order, not only in our Pro, but our Pro-Am and our Gold class. So all the drivers pushing themselves that little bit extra down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. And Stephen, it's just the Grid Championship that is still running. All our other championships, well, except for Automobilista Formula One,
And
have come
endurance.
to a close. And endurance have come to a close. But we're only going to be on the mic next week, Thursday again, except for our recap on Monday.
Yeah, that's it. We've got a little bit of a
What are we going to
break.
do with ourselves?
I don't know. We'll have to
The
find out.
voices in my head's going to drive me crazy.
Well, maybe we'll go and take a bit of a visit with Mettlestate and go see some amazing stuff they've been upgrading of late and pushing the boundaries. Absolutely fantastic to see the racing out there. For round 7, done and dusted. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, head over to Mettlestate.com for some amazing competitions that go on. Whether you're a casual or whether you're a pro, go and test out your skills against everyone around South Africa and go improve your skills. Also, get a little bit of if you win, get a little bit of cash in the pocket. Heading into December, start saving up for those Christmas presents and look at getting yourself a steering wheel to come play with us here over at the Grid Championship. But also, there is tons and tons of competition. Head over to Mettlestate.com to go have a bit of fun there. Take a look at Mettlestate out on YouTube. They've got some amazing content. They actually went and took a walk through one of the houses that has been redone with some smart technology that will go and save on electricity prices and also go and have it all set up that, well, everything's controlled by your phone or just pre-done, that you wake up in the morning and the kettle's already boiling for you. So go and take a look over there.
I can do with that.
Yeah, no, I won't say I wasn't jealous, but go take a look at the video out on Mettlestate. Also, out here on RaceFace, subscribe, hit the bell notification icon if you enjoy all the racing content to keep up to date with all the racing that's happening on RaceFace. We're on our road to 1,000 subscribers, and that is my Christmas wish, to hit that 1,000 subscriber mark. It's going to come. It's going to come. I believe it's my Christmas wish, and I haven't gotten coal in my Christmas stocking for the last 3 years. So maybe, just maybe, it may happen. But that's only because of you guys.
Fuel for the Jenny might also be useful.
That
as a
is
Christmas gift.
That is very, very true. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you very, very much. And also a big thank you to my co-commentator joining me this evening, Janneman Price, the world's slowest alien. Janneman, once again, always a pleasure to be on the comms with you.
Same to you, Stephen, and from our side, thank you very much for all the work that you're doing regarding the broadcasting. It's always an honor sharing the microphone with you.
But it is truly an honor to be with you guys. A big thank you to all our sponsors behind it, all the administrative team out in Mettlestate and RaceFace for all the hard work that's going on. Also to you guys over in the chat, whether you're the drivers, the teams, the family members, the spectators, coming and joining in with a bit of fun. We absolutely love having being in your houses, talking off, and having a lot of fun, just bringing all the content, all the action that happens right the way through all the seasons. A big thank you to MTN coming back for a second time round to be part of the Grid Championship, and Mettlestate having 4 seasons in a row. That is absolutely incredible for an esports division. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, like always, and we're going to say it because I love saying it and I'll never get bored of saying it, we'll see you next time. And I'm going to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night from down under.
Good night, everyone.